Ha! Hey everyone, Hassan here. Welcome to the world of Ha. Today, I have another Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Reignition toy review. I just recently did a review of the Power Morpher, bought it at Walmart, along with these figures right here. So what you're seeing in front of you is essentially wave one of the figure releases. And so this is Playmates Toys' new toy line for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And this is their take on the classic Auto Morphin figures. So the Rangers that you see here, black, blue, red, and green, are Auto Morphin. But then there's also a Rita Repulsa evil space alien action figure as well. So I just looped that in here since this is really the first wave of figures. We know that there's going to be other figures releasing as well, coming at a later date, at least in America. Maybe other places have them, but for now, this is what we have. And so this is, again, the toy line that is really geared towards kids. Now, I know Power Rangers in general geared towards kids, but we have had some toy lines for collectors, over the years for kind of the older fans, things like, Lightning Collection. We've had legacy items from Bandai, things like that. But this is truly a kids toy line. So when you see some of these figures, obviously at a glance you can see like, hey, the proportions are kind of weird and funky and, it's maybe not the greatest looking figure. But at the end of the day, this is a toy line for kids. And so, I'm going to approach things from both perspectives, right? Like, as an adult collector, is there anything of value here? And then as a kid, is this something that, well, I'm not a kid, but do I think, a kid would enjoy this as that's who it's designed for? And I'm kind of also thinking of my son in mind as this is ages 4+, he's 4 years old. Is this something that he would find entertaining? So here it is. Here's the packaging, which, by the way, I love the packaging. If anything, this is kind of a nice thing to have for collectors. Like, I don't know about, we'll open the figure up and see how it is, right? But just as a display piece, this is kind of cool. I love the vibrant colors, the logos. I mean, this is very consistent with the packaging for the Morpher, the Zords, all the different items in the toy line here. But this is the Auto Morphin Red Ranger. You got your Playmates Toys logo right there. Head flippin' Morphin action. So he has, it looks like his power sword along with the blade blaster in both configurations, the blaster and the sword. Try me, press lever on back. So there is a lever right here. And basically, as you can see, he morphs. So I do like the ability to actually do the Auto Morphin, while it's still in the box. So they have kind of this little cutout here, and they've enabled you to be able to actually try the feature, right? That's a, important, cool thing to do for kids as well. So then the back has a few different things. The left side is pretty standard, shows you kind of the storyline for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And then on the right, you have some interesting things. So they actually have a bit of a bio right there. Jason Lee Scott. So it kind of just goes through a few different pieces of information about him. Again, they show you the image right there. And then at the bottom, it shows you all the different figures that have been released or will be released, at least in this first couple waves. So we do not have yellow and pink yet, along with Goldar and Putty. So I'm assuming wave 2 will have those four, maybe a re-release of one of the other, Rangers or something. As some of the waves, they tend to release, at least historically, waves with Guy Rangers. And so I'd be a little surprised if they don't have any of them in the second wave as an additional wave of them. But either way, we don't have yellow and pink right now, Goldar and Putty, but we have the rest right here. So, that's pretty much it for that. Let's take a quick look at the other packages, and then we'll, open them up. But Blue Ranger, again, very, very similar. The only differences are going to be the color and the, label right there, the picture and so forth. There's the Auto Morphin action there for Billy. And then the back has the specific bio and information there. You can pause the video and read it if you would like. But everything else is pretty much the same. We have Zach right here, the Black Ranger. So it has the power axe. Again, you have your Auto Morphin functionality there. There's the bio, so you can pause and read it. It does mention hip hop keto. That's fun. Yeah. All right. Then we do have, of course, Tommy Oliver, the Green Ranger. Excuse me. And this is always one that's very interesting from an Auto Morphin perspective because of the shield, right? Like the old school Mighty Morphin figures, and I'll show this a little bit more later, but I grabbed one of my old ones from the 90s. I actually had 2 or 3 of them, so there's one that I actually played with that was in very bad shape. This one I didn't really play with too much, so it has a little bit of weathering and damage, but not as bad for the most part. But it did have the shield, and I didn't grab the shield, but that was a separate thing that would detach in order to be able to do the Auto Morphin feature. You couldn't do it with the shield on. In this case, they've designed it so it does transform like that. And it's a little funky in how it transforms, but at the end of the day, like, the Rangers don't transform by their head flipping into their chest in the show anyways. So all that aside, I feel like overall it looks decent to have both views like that, like with the shield still intact. But we'll do a more in-depth review when I open it up. But that's just one interesting thing to note. You have the Dragon Dagger, of course, there. And there is Tommy's bio, so you can, of course, pause and read that if you would like. And then, last but not least, we have the evil space alien Rita Repulsa. So there's no Auto Morphin feature for Rita. She doesn't need to morph in anything. Also, interestingly enough, the Rangers have like kind of the diamond design next to their name. Rita has a little image that's like her headpiece there, right there. So that's kind of cool. Spell casting action. So try me, press lever on back. So it looks like you do that, and she swings her arm. So if you have the little spell piece, I guess like she's shooting out some sort of a spell. It's like she's kind of swinging it around or something. I don't know. It's interesting. And then there's the bio right there. So you can read that as well. Pretty cool. So I'm excited to have another Rita Repulsa figure. We've not had too many over the years. There's one like in the 2010 toy line. We did get a really nice one in the Lightning Collection, but this is geared towards kids. This is the kids toy line, not the Lightning Collection one. And at a glance, it actually looks really nice. So I'm excited, especially about that figure. But anyways, with that being said, let's get these things open and take a look. All right, and here we have the figures out of the packaging, all lined up here. And, it's nice to see a new lineup of Power Ranger toys all here. I think there's certainly some good and bad to these figures. My initial thought in terms of how they look is I do find that the Rangers look a little odd with how they are proportioned. Like their upper body, like they kind of remind me of like Ninja Turtles without the shells. Like, I don't know, there's like this upper body part here that's just like, it's so big because it has to encompass the mechanism for the auto-morphing, feature and stuff. But it just makes them look awkward, So, and then you have the little piece here where the flipping happens. And so it looks like there's like this like, I don't know, the costume's kind of like rolled up at the bottom there or something. Like, it just looks a little odd. I don't think kids are going to care that much, to be honest. So I think it's fine for kids. And these figures are much more, accessible and available at kind of lower price points compared to like things like a Lightning Collection figure, for example, right? So you gotta compare based on the market and the audience and that sort of thing, right? So that being said, I just getting that out of the way. Yes, they look a little odd. We'll get into some of the details around the figures, but I don't think kids will mind too much. Now, Rita, I actually think looks pretty good. I actually like the Rita figure and how she looks. But let's get to the Rangers themselves. Okay, so let's start off with, well, first of all of the Rangers come with the Blade Blaster in 2 configurations. So here is the blaster in the sword mode. You get a decent bit of detail on the weapon here. There's no other paint besides just the red and white. No other, detail painted on there, but that's fine. That's fine for this size scale. So I'll grab the Red Ranger here. Let's take a look at the Blade Blaster in blaster mode here. Again, same thing, red and white. It's fine. It's good enough. The detail's pretty decent. And this will fit in, right here. No problem. You can try and fit in this as well. It just has the blade sticking out there. So there's no configuration of this that has the blade folded in. It's just, molded with the blade sticking out. So I think the Blade Blaster is probably the easiest, but, there it is right there. So yeah, I'm just going to take the Blade Blaster out, but just to show you. And then, since we're talking about weapons, I'll take the Power Sword here as well. The weapons, for the most part, are all 1 or 2 colors. Pretty standard. So this is red and silver. That's really what they went for. And there's a little bit of detail in terms of, like, you can see how the handle here has the kind of diamond pattern and stuff. And there is a space where the coin would be, but there is 0 molding to where the coin is. So it is definitely cheaper than most other, weapon details that we've seen of, like, the Power Sword in the past. But again, for the price point, what it is, I mean, you can tell it's the Power Sword. It's okay, right? So let's get to the Ranger itself. Here is the Red Ranger. Aside from the proportions, the one other thing, and I think this is consistent with a lot of them, is the helmets feel a little bit off in terms of the shape and design. They feel a little like they've been squeezed a little. Like you took the Red Ranger helmet and you kind of smushed it top to bottom. Same with the blue one. Green Ranger's maybe squished like side to side, like left to right. The Black Ranger one might be okay, to be honest. That might be the only one that's okay. But, to be fair, even Hasbro at the Lightning Collection couldn't get this one right until much later. So, for whatever reason, it's very difficult to do. But here's the rest of the detail around the Red Ranger. Again, you have the little piece here that kind of folds in for the mechanism, and then you have this little tab to be able to push down to transform. So, the thing about the transformation is it's not like the old school Automorphins where it only worked one way, where you push the belt buckle, so as a Ranger it would not transform, right? You had to manually do it, then it could transform like that, right? This one, it's got the mechanism in the back, so you can just transform back and forth. That is a nice improvement. I do like that. Let's take a quick look at Jason right here. I mean, the sculpt, to be honest, doesn't really look that much like Jason. I mean, I can see maybe what they were kind of going for, but it just looks a little bit more of a generic, person. Again, at this price point, I think it's fine. It is what it is. And I think just kids will just enjoy just the morphing feature anyways. So I think that's fine. Now, what actually is surprisingly, not bad is there's a bit of articulation. And I know that so we have the original Automorphin, right, which does have the rotation here, and then you have the arms to the sides. You can bend it, right? So they had a decent bit of arm movement. The legs, though, you really couldn't do much. You could bend at the knees and move them forward. You couldn't even move them back, right? They did the new versions of these, which I have somewhere, I just couldn't grab them quickly, that had a bit more articulation. Now, these are interesting because the arms do bend, and it does rotate around, but they do not move outwards. And I find that hinders things a little bit, but you can also turn the arms sideways a little like that. You just can't move the upper part out. The legs, though, you can kick forward. There is no back either. They don't really move to the side much, but they do turn a little. There is some, knee movement there, and then the foot does rotate around as well. It doesn't really move side to side, but you can actually get a good amount of, like one of the things with the figures, I was worried that you wouldn't really be able to balance these that well, especially with how maybe top heavy they are. But because you can sort of twist the legs a little and position the feet, outwards, inwards, you get a nice solid base where they actually stand up pretty well. So that is, nice there. So, look, these are not the greatest looking Ranger toys, but I think for the audience that they're going for, they're fine. The one other thing I will say is the power coins here. I mean, you can see it right there. There's really no detail on this thing. It's hard to tell if they even tried to do a T-Rex or if it's just this random blobs there. Let me just check the other ones real quick. I mean, they all kind of look like random blobs, except for the Green Ranger, to be honest. This one also is kind of like a blob. The Green Ranger, you can actually make out the faint markings of what would be the dragon coin. It's so faint, though. Yeah. And again, Power Morpher, they use the same morpher for both red and green. So they didn't do a special gold one or anything. The holster is, again, the same one, so it's not like a black one or on the other side or anything. So the Green Ranger, they very much borrowed a lot from the other Rangers, so it's not going to be the most show-accurate figure, but, you know, just for awareness. Anyways, all right, that's all with the Red Ranger. Let's take a look at Billy here, Blue Ranger. It's got the Power Lance, and so the thing with the Power Lance is you can connect it like I have it here. Decent length as well, but then it also does split up. So that's pretty nice. I wish they would have maybe molded in the power coins or something just to make it a little bit more, you know, unique and special, but at least they got the overall shape and design of it there. All of the things I was talking about with the Red Ranger in terms of articulation and styling and stuff is going to apply to all the Rangers, so I'm not going to spend much time on that. But the helmet itself, again, it does look kind of like smushed in a little bit, like it just proportionally looks a little odd. You know, but here is Billy. This one is not too bad. I mean, from the side, it really doesn't look like him at all. But from the front, I can definitely see what they were going for. It's interesting that they went for the look without the glasses there. I feel like it might have made it look a little bit more like Billy if they had done it with the glasses, but I can definitely see what they're going for. And at least, like, I mean, you put them together, while they may not look exactly like their counterparts in the show, you can definitely see, you know, what they're going for, basically, right? And it is a very satisfying mechanic, very fast to flip in morphing. So that is a lot of fun. All right, then we have Zach right here. Now, I will say my figure is, this hand is really loose. So it's a little hard for him to hold up the power axe. Even the slightest thing just kind of, like, you know, makes it fall over like that. So I don't know if that's just mine or if this weapon is just a little too heavy that they're all kind of like that. But here is the power axe. Black and yellow coloring there. Not too bad. I will say this does not have the mechanic of this piece sliding or anything. So I don't know for sure yet if we're going to be able to make the power blaster. So once yellow and pink come out, we can find out. I mean, I can see some notches and things. So, I mean, we might be able to. It just won't be completely accurate, but that's fine. You know, as long as the weapons combine, I think that would be a fun element to do. So hopefully that is the case. We'll find out, you know, eventually. But here is the Black Ranger. This one, I think from the front, the helmet actually looks okay. It's when you look at it from the side that it definitely kind of looks like it's stretched out to the front a little bit. But it's okay. And then here is the transformation there. This one doesn't really look that much like Zach, to be honest. I mean, I see what they're going for, but there's some, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough with these things where, like, I feel like from some angles it looks a little better than others, but you know, again, there's the team so far. All right, let's get to Tommy Oliver right here, Green Ranger. He is definitely the most awkward-looking one of the group in Ranger form because of this big shield. And because they had to integrate it with this, they had to really, like, make it a part of the entire sculpted body here. And because the body is so enlarged, the shield is enlarged and it's, like, stuck to the body based on how they've designed it. So it makes it look a little odd. Like, the head looks too small. You know what I mean? Like, that just, the head looks way too small for what it's supposed to be. But I do like the fact that you can transform it without having to pop the shield on or off or anything. So that is certainly a plus, you know, that they were able to accommodate that in this design. Now here's the Dragon Dagger real quick. Forgot to show that. Gold and silver coloring. You know, would have been nice to maybe, instead of silver, maybe black or green. Something else might have worked better, but it's fine. And this one actually has a little bit more detail than I think some of the other weapons do. I mean, you can see some of the individual, you know, buttons molded in, the dragon coin right there. None of the other ones have the coins molded. So they actually put in a little bit more effort into the Dragon Dagger there for some reason compared to the others. I guess that's the Tommy Oliver treatment there. But yeah, so here's the helmet, and it's another one that, like, again, you don't get all the paint of it, and so it does look a little odd, Like there's maybe some pieces missing, but you know, it's there. So you can flip, and this one is maybe the one that looks the most like their character, I would say. So they gave him kind of the green, headband there. Yeah. And it's cool that they were able to accommodate the whole thing, the head, the hair piece as well. You would think sometimes with these pieces in the back that might interfere with the flipping mechanic. But no issues. It works perfectly fine. And again, you put them together, I mean, it's the Mighty Morphin team. They're definitely recognizable. So it may not be perfect, but it's good enough is really what it is, especially at that price point. I think it's fine. I don't mind these Automorphin figures. They're not obviously my favorite figures because I prefer things like the Lightning Collection, but that's for the target audience, they're totally fine. Now, Rita, I actually think looks pretty solid. I don't have the best memory in the sense of remembering every little detail or paint job that she's supposed to have, but I think overall, I'm sure there's paint applications and things missing, especially, on there, everywhere, right? That's fine. But I think they capture the essence of Rita. The important stuff is there, the design, the overall look and feel. I mean, it looks like they've captured her presence overall. Her face doesn't really look like her much, but again, everything else is so iconic that it's fine, and I think it looks good enough. Her staff feels like they have a decent bit of, detail, a couple bits of paint, like a little bit of blue there, right? Some gold. But I think maybe it's the gray that they're using that makes it feel kind of cheap. If this was like black, I think this would have looked a lot nicer. But overall, though, it's fine. You do get this little effect piece as well. So she just holds onto it, and it's like she's casting a spell, or she's Spider-Woman, I don't know, but that's basically what it is. The only thing I will say is, the goal of this, right, is she's supposed to wave her arm up and down, right? You push the button, and her arm swings up and down. But you'd want the spell shooting out in front, right? Like wherever her arm is, like this, you'd want it kind of aiming in that direction. But then it's not fully on her hand. So as she swings, it kind of flops around and eventually falls out. If you want it tight on her hand, you kind of have to wrap it around like that, but then that just doesn't really make sense. So I think it looks neat. It's an interesting thing they added, but it doesn't mesh as well with the swinging functionality there. Now, you don't have to have that there, right? You can just put the staff here and swing this around. And I feel like is even more satisfying. He's going to walk around smacking the Rangers with the staff. Hey, that works, right? So I think it's fun. I like that little swinging functionality. I like that they gave something to Rita to do there. But overall, looks really, really nice. In terms of articulation, you have a little bit of leg movement like that, but it's very limited. There's no knee articulation or anything, and especially because of the dress here, it's very restricted in movement. The arms do rotate around. This one is on a little bit of that, again, this mechanic to swing. So if you have the arm starting back there, then you swing, it swings that much. But if you click it more forward, it depends on where it's starting to determine where it's going to end up in the swing. If it's going to swing higher up or back. You do have a little bit of elbow articulation, but because this piece is so big, it just doesn't bend that much, but it does bend a little bit. And this one, she actually can stretch her arms out like that. So it's not bad. Not bad articulation. And you do have a ball joint right there for the head, so and it pops right off as well. So you can get a decent bit of range and motion there as well. So that is certainly fun. That's pretty much it for these figures. Again, if I compare, I'll just really quickly compare the original OG, flip head. I just don't have the shield to the new. There's pros and cons, right? I think the shape of this guy wasn't natural either, right? The body shape is not the greatest, but I do feel like it's better in terms of this. It just proportionally looks a little better. The helmets and stuff, they have a bit more paint and detail to it there as well. But the flipping mechanic is not as nice on these ones versus this, much easier, right? And then comparing the civilian heads, I think they've definitely evolved a lot. This does not look like Tommy. This one does, right? So they've definitely evolved in the face sculpting department, over 30 plus years. But it is interesting because these are Playmates Toys' first foray into making these Power Rangers as well. So I think overall they did a pretty good job. So to summarize, adult collectors, I don't think there's really much here for you. I mean, these are Automorphin figures. I think from the title alone, you probably would have known that. I don't think that's much of a surprise. I do think Rita, though, is pretty nice. And I do think that if we want to continue to see more, especially beyond Mighty Morphin and other types of figures, you got to support the toy line as well, right? So I'm happy to buy these to support the toy line. I do think kids will enjoy it. I'm excited to show these to my son, tomorrow as well, and kind of see how he likes the flip head functionality. And I think it's, for the price point that you get in today's market, I think these are good enough and something enjoyable. So anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you think of these as well. I believe next, well, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know yet what I'm going to review next. You can let me know in the comment section below, but by that point, to be honest, I may have filmed some stuff already. I do have some of the Zords, but I did also order the Blade Blaster and then like this electronic Megazord as well. So I'll have to decide what I want to review next, but there's going to be more Mighty Morphin Reignition reviews. So regardless, make sure you like the video and subscribe to be notified as well. I truly would appreciate it. Thank you all, as always. Take care, and I will see you later.